Today's video is brought to you by Assiniboine Downs Gaming and Event Center. And be sure to tune in to Trust the Profits Live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern for Monday Night Lights, hosted by Matthew DeSantis.
Salutations and welcome, friends. I'm your host of this Belmont Stakes Spotlight Series. My name is Matthew DeSantis. You can find me on Twitter at the handle @FailedToMenace, and I am joined by my fellow Trust the Profiter, El Hombre. El Hombre, thank you so much for being here with me, and pretty excited here to talk about Red Route 1. But before we get into RRO, everybody's favorite deep closer, quick reminder to all of you watching, press that subscribe button here on YouTube to get all of our great content. Make sure to like this video and comment below with what chances you give Red Route 1 at winning the 2023 Belmont Stakes and whether or not he'll be on your ticket at all. El Hombre, how are you feeling? We're about 10 days out at the time of recording this of the Belmont Stakes. How are you feeling about this year's Belmont? And how are you feeling about Red Route 1 a little bit?
Well, this year's Belmont, I'm pretty impressed with the field, to be honest. I think it's way better than the Preakness. I think it's arguably, obviously not the Kentucky Derby, but I think you're pulling from a pretty deep measure of the best horses in there, plus a couple of new shooters. I really, I mean, obviously Forte's involved, who wasn't in the Derby. That's a big hit. I really like this field. I think it's, again, way stronger than the Preakness. It's a good field. I think we can scratch off the bottom half of the field here. Red Route 1 specifically, I'm going to sit back, relax, and enjoy while you try to talk about Red Route 1's chances in this race, because I don't see it. I respect the horse. I think we all kind of had a Cinderella moment on some of those closes early on here, but listen, he hasn't won anything. I mean, look. There's the history. Matthew shares it on the screen here.
Yeah.
What's he got? 2
wins and 10 starts, which is the same as Il Miracolo, who's going to be about 99-1 on the board. Listen, Red Route 1 is a horse that everybody loves to bet. And I got to give a shout out to Shoddy, who is one of our viewers. She loves Red Route 1. I know. And he's an easy horse to root for because he does have that very alluring, deep closing, frantic running style at the end. It is. It's fun to watch. He finally got home in those Bathhouse Row Stakes at Oak Lawn Park. That was admittedly against a lesser field. A horse like Tapit Shoes, who he beat, is going to also be running in this race. We already did a spotlight series on Tapit Shoes. I mean, he's going to be a little bit of a higher price and a little bit more of a long shot. He, backs that up by the Preakness. Now, that Preakness was bizarre in a lot of ways because that was a very slow pace. I think Joel Rosario realized it was a slow pace and got Red Route 1 really close to the lead. And I mean, it was kind of stunning going down the back stretch. Red Route 1 was closer to the lead than Mage was. I mean, that was just bizarre. But I understood. I at least understood the rationale behind why Rosario was moving that horse up closer, because he knew he wouldn't be able to close into the pace at all. I know a lot of people see Red Route 1, and listen, there's a lot to like from a pedigree standpoint. Gun runner up top, damned by Tapit underneath. Pedigree would suggest he'll be able to do the distance, no problem. But I do think he feels like a more pace-dependent horse than a distance-dependent horse. And what I mean by that is I see a huge difference between he and Tapit Trice. Tapit Trice, I think, can run for days and get stronger as the race goes on. Red Route 1 needs a pace to run into, in my opinion. He's not necessarily a horse that gets better the longer you go. He's a horse that's better the faster the pace is in front of him. And if you don't have a fast pace, I don't know the chances that Red Route 1 really has to make an impact. That's just, that's kind of my take. I think you saw that a little bit with the Arkansas Derby. You saw that certainly with the Preakness. He's capable of running well. He doesn't really run bad races, as you can see here. But, he also he doesn't win enough for my liking in this sort of a spot.
Yeah, it makes me want to fly out to Belmont Park and maybe present a participation trophy for Red Route 1 and Tapit Shoes for getting 8th and 9th in this race, because they had such a great Bathhouse Row Stakes at Oak Lawn. Listen, and I don't mean no disrespect, but he's so outclassed here. I was fooled by the big close. He had a lot of interesting big closes going on. The Southwest Stakes was impressive. Huge. The Rebel. But guess what? He never got home. Arkansas Derby, he gags.
Yep. I think a lot of us liked him in that race too, or thought he
Yes.
might be able to do the same thing again.
Oh, he's going to hit the board. He airballed.
Yeah.
Now he comes back and wins the bathhouse. Who cares? Nobody even looked at it.
Yeah.
And then the Preakness, he finishes 4th, which is about where he should have been in that race. And
Right.
guess what? The Preakness field is half the talent of this field. This is a way better field.
Yeah.
You got a whole bunch of stalker. I hesitate to call any of the big contenders closers, even Angel.
No, they're mid-pack. I mean, they're mid-pack horses. That's what they are.
Stalkers, deep stalkers. They're not closers.
Yeah.
He's got no shot against these. They're the 3 main horses in here. Tapit, Trice, Forte, Angel of Empire outclass Red Route 1 by a effing country mile. And that's how I feel about it. And Ed DeRosa has the fair odds at 50-1 on him. I think Red Route 1, 500-1, I wouldn't bet him.
Yeah, I think the issue that you have with Red Route 1, and I have it too, is if he sits his normal trip, he's going to be at the back or pretty darn close to it. And then you have to think he's got to pass Angel of Empire, Forte, and Tapit Trice. Not to mention horses like Hit Show, who I think you and I both think, maybe has a little bit of a shot to hit the board at the very least at a bigger price. A horse like Arcangelo, who I'm really high on. He's, and then National Treasure as well that he's got to run down. He's got to run down a lot of really good horses. This is not, and I feel bad we're taking shots at the Bathhouse Row Stakes, which is a perfectly fine listed stakes race. But I mean, it's exactly that though. It's a listed stakes race. It's not a grade 3. It's not a grade 2. It's not a grade 1. You're up against much better company now, and you barely got home in that race at Oaklawn. Now you're going to pass 3 of the best horses in this crop, maybe 4 of the best horses in this crop. And, you got to pass them. It's not as if you're holding them off, which is a little bit of a different dynamic for a horse like National Treasure, who we'll talk about as well in the Spotlight Series. You got to pass them. And that's a really challenging thing when they all are going to be coming mid-pack as well, and they're going to get the jump on you. So it's hard for me to see a way that Red Route 1 wins this thing, let alone even hits the board, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, no chance. I'll just say it. There's no shot that he'll hit the board. And it's not a issue of him being a bad horse. He's a great horse. I mean, he's
sure.
He was a darling early in the prep season. I loved him. It's fun. Everybody loves a deep closer, like we said.
Yep.
My thing is here, honestly, I think you have, and I'll say it, the 3 best of this crop are in this race.
Yep.
I mean, you can throw Mage in if you want. Whoever you were talking about on another video, talking about Mage was the best horse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was the best horse on Derby Day, for sure.
Yeah.
But to me, the 3 best horses in this crop are in this race. It's Angel of Empire, Tapit, Trice, and Forte. And they're all in here, and he's just outclassed. If he was going to make some big noise, it was at Pimlico, at the Preakness, and he didn't do it. I don't think he's capable. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a good sire down the road or a good racer as a 4-year-old. He's a quality horse, obviously. He can go and win 99% of the races he enters. He's not going to win or even hit the board in the Belmont.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think in my opinion, he's just kind of a grade 3 listed stakes type of a horse. And you can make a whole lot of money doing that, by the way. And I would love
I wish I owned them.
Exactly.
I wish I owned 1% of them. Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, this is no disrespect to him, but this is a field that's just better. I mean, it just is.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. I mean, I think Red Route 1 is a horse that's kind of up against it in this spot. And I know some people in the comments have said that they think this might be a fast pace, and I just don't see it. I think National Treasure gets out there on the front end and just tries to walk the dog exactly like he did in the Preakness. And there's not a lot of other, you mentioned the 3 kind of favorites. They're all mid-pack horses.
Yeah, they're all stalkers. You think all 3 of them are going to have a bad race? I doubt it.
And
one of those 3 is going to win.
Yeah, and none of the I don't think horses like Arcangelo or Tapit Shoes is going to necessarily press National Empire National Treasure, I should say, up front. Maybe Il Miracolo decides to do that because that's kind of his only move potentially, but I just don't see this huge pace that they're going to run into, and it's going to be more about can you get the distance and how strong are you coming late. And I just think that now I think maybe a counter argument to make is he didn't like the tight turns of Pimlico. That's really tough on his type of running style. Those wide sweeping turns of Belmont might be better. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate because I know we always have a few devil's advocates in the comment section of YouTube. So I try to give people a little bit of credit there, but I just don't see it with Red Route 1. And again, he's a nice horse. I think he might go on to have a very nice 3-year-old campaign. But I just don't think it's against this level of competition. And so, I hope that certainly Steve Asmussen has a reputation of wanting to bring horses back at 4 and 5 years old. I mean, we just saw Echo Zulu, for instance, debut at 4 years old, who was one of his great fillies last year. So, hopefully this horse does come back at 4 and 5 and continues to get better. I'd love to see it. But in this race, I think El Hombre and I are both taking a pass on Red Route 1 on our tickets.
Running into the big three, baby. I mean, the big three are hard. The big three. It's the class of the season. It's the class of the prep season, the class of the crop.
Yeah.
And he's just hitting it. It's a buzzsaw. It's not, good luck next year. Maybe they can juice him up like Country Grammar or something and run him out.
Well, we don't need to juice anybody up, but I think that I think to your point, some of those horses are going to be retired to stud. And that 4-year-old, exactly, that older handicap division opens up a little bit. So I think, he just gets in a different company and he can do well. But so listen, we're El Hombre and I, we're not going to be using Red Route 1 in our tickets, but let us know why we're wrong in the comments or why we're right. And let us know if you're going to be using him in your tickets on Belmont Stakes Day. Additionally, like this video, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, folks, my name is Matthew DeSantis. That's El Hombre, wishing you a great and profitable day at the races and reminding you that it's now post time.